Chazanow.
It is game week. We are live here at Zeppo's talking ball here with Coach Rolovich. It is the Oregon State Beaver Pack opener. Coach, we're finally here. We have been trying to figure out how we're going to play, when we're going to play, maybe if we're going to play. We're here talking ball. Well, we're here in, 72 hours? You will be in Corvallis, kicking off 7:30, Reser Stadium. How psyched are you?
Very, very, very appreciative of all the people that made this possible in this environment. I mean, so much went into it, countless names. Most proud of the way the players handled since spring ball, really, and the guys who are still standing. I just left practice with them, and they're excited. They're ready to go, and I'm happy for them. I really am, because this hasn't been easy on them. Rainy
evening here on the Palouse, the daylight savings deal. It's a little bit darker. It's a little windy. It's a little wet. How are the guys bouncing around out there?
It's good for the crops, right?
It is. Yeah, sure, see? Absolutely. Yeah, we got nods and claps for the wheat. Yeah.
No, it didn't faze them at all. Yep. It really didn't. Not a bad night, just a little wet, but little walkthrough, get everything kind of shaped up for tomorrow's practice, and then we'll hit the airport.
Football being football, it's a tough guy sport. For tough guys excel at football. Do you find that you as a coach, in evaluating week to week, when you've got inclement weather or small hurdles that you can't control, like wind, rain, snow, whatever, do you kind of like it? You like to see how the guys react, like to see how they go out there and react to it?
Oh, I think you should as a coach. I think you need to be observant of those types of things. I think that element was already ingrained in this football program, and probably just from the community and their history living up here. So that hasn't necessarily been a problem. I mean, that I've seen. So that's been nice. There's not a lot of nonsense. The distractions are what can get you, and especially when you get on the road, you either let the distractions bother you or you don't. And it's still the same size field, and I'm excited to see these guys go.
So the depth chart has been announced. We have not talked on the record since the Too Deep came out.
Okay.
You got it there in front of you. What do you not what do you think about it, but is it what you sort of envisioned coming through? How has it progressed to this point? Now you finally got your starters and the guys who will play prominently on paper.
I think we were able to develop some depth at positions. I think I like the practice structure, some of the things as far as getting multiple groups going and getting basically double the reps or double guys the reps. I thought that was good early on. What I think people should know is how I don't know if welcoming is the right word, but how the veterans on the team really absorbed the young guys throughout the summer and also into what training camp was. There was no nonsense about you're a freshman, do this, you can't hang with us. I think it was really inclusive, and I think in a tough year for freshmen going to college and going to play college football, I appreciate the element of humanity our older guys showed, I guess.
Yeah, and especially in a year, and I wonder how it changes things. For the next 4 or 5 years, you're going to have an extra set of guys on campus because of the extra year here, and they may know, hey, we
don't know how it's going to end up, but you're right. But it goes back to that toughness factor you were talking about. I mean, toughness is not, picking on somebody who's not ready to defend themselves. I think that's what our guys showed this year in prep as far as the older guys, and not letting the weather, whether it was the day we had a bunch of snow or they just went out and worked. And I'll never forget the first time I walked in the weight room and saw them working. It's not. I was their new coach. They didn't even barely look at me.
Did they know who? Did they know?
No, they knew who I was, okay. But it was the first workout, and they were focused on what they were supposed to do.
Yeah. A couple names on here. A lot of returners, or a lot of names that Coug fans are really familiar with. A couple that they are not, and that few are. One of them is right at the defensive line spot, Amir Mujahid. He's a 6'3", 278-pound junior, starting defensive tackle, or will play at least. There's an or next to his name, so it could be Amir Crowder. Coug fans know Amir. Now 297-pound D tackle. He's put on a lot of weight as Amir Crowder. Who's Amir Mujahid? What kind of player is he?
Junior college player. We signed in February. I think what what to say about Amir is he was here. He got here. No, when did he get here? I think he got here in the summertime.
Okay.
And he was already somebody that the coaches and people involved with the program felt could be a great addition to the leadership council. And that doesn't necessarily happen to a first-year JC guy. He's very appreciative of this opportunity. He loves football. He's from the Bay Area, Laney Junior College, and just a real, wants to do things right and plays hard and loves his teammates. So I think he fits good.
Do you have an immediate connection when you meet a kid from the Bay Area? You start talking about specific streets,
especially a Bay Area JC guy.
Yeah,
I do.
It's got to feel a little bit like home. It kind of warms your heart a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's do this. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We're loaded up with Twitter questions. We've got a couple other points to discuss on the back end of the show about some great stories with the Coug Bucks, the Pay It Forward Bucks, which has grown in momentum as you predicted it might. People are starting to talk about it a little bit, and that's really, really fun. It's a sweet thing you do. And
we do.
We do. That the community does.
That's right.
That you are the spark of, but that we have embraced and move forward with. And so let's take a break. Come back. We'll talk about depth chart. We'll talk about football here against the Beavers live at Zeppos.
And now a moment. Here's Matt Chazanow.
Back here live at Zeppos Talking Ball. Great to be with you. Great to see everybody here. And thanks for watching or listening, however you're tuned into this. We appreciate you. If you've got write-in questions, we will get them on the show. So let's get right to it. We got a couple hand-ins here. Let's talk a little bit of ball here, Coach. A certain defensive philosophy. Do we have a certain defensive philosophy like stop the run or bend but don't break? Would you say there's a way to kind of qualify what Jake Dickert's goal is? Is there a way to summarize it like that?
I think every good defensive coordinator is going to start with stopping the run because that's as easy to keep going as anything. That's going to be important, and I like some of the things he's emphasized as far as third down and red zone touchdown. I think that's that goes into a little bit of the bend don't break, but I think I've mentioned it on the show. There's been multiple times throughout training camp and last few weeks where big plays have happened, and the defense, they got a real nice – they don't feel good about giving up a play, but they're able to what we like to say is one snap and clear, and just play the next down. And they really pick each other up, and I've seen multiple instances of that. So
one snap and clear is kind of a mental cue, like one snap, clear the line.
Yeah, that was big with June Jones, and it made sense to me. So we try to say it a bunch. Guy drops the ball, one snap and clear.
Flush it.
Come right back to him. Give him confidence.
Is that I mean, you can't – when you're on the sideline, how will play calls go? You're there, or Brian Smith's up in the box.
And Stutz is down there.
And Stutz is down there. So Jaden DeLora looks at whom, and then how?
Stutz.
Okay.
Yeah, Stutz will be the majority of the one communicating with him.
Okay.
Not all signals. We'll have wristbands. He'll come over and get some plays.
Okay.
All those little things are things you got to try to work too. You know, especially with a freshman going in.
How much flexibility does a true freshman have at the line?
He has no flexibility. He has he has to do the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know that we have flexibility at the line. I think we have jobs to be done at the line where, he can't pick a play. He's got to get us out of a bad play and get us into a good one. Mm-hmm. And he has those checks and balances. And
there are things that he sees naturally to the position, any QB would see, right? That it can be harder maybe for an OC to see. Does you know what I mean? Like you're looking at the different. No, so that's not a thing. So
I don't know what you're saying.
Well, if you're just behind center and you see something that the linebackers are doing that maybe no one else can see somehow, how much?
I don't know that happens very much.
Okay.
Then. The guy in the booth is what's he? Just up there eating hot dogs. These guys up there in the booth. There's hot dogs. There's hot chocolate at places. You hear him chewing on stuff.
Well, that's why Brink likes to be the analyst. He'll take snack breaks, and it's very easy for him. That's what we do.
Yeah, Pat Chun, no more food up there in the booth for our guys.
He's got it.
Just water.
He's got it. Our director of athletics, Pat Chun, here in the back of Zeppos. There was an announcement today. In fact, the Pac Conference puts a release out, and the Cal-Washington game was canceled. The question here says, my friends who are Huskies are crying inconsolably because they won't play Saturday. What should be done for them?
Videotape it and put it on Twitter. Them crying.
Their tears. It is a gut punch for the league.
For the league, imagine these kids, man. Yeah. Everything they've been through, and then, but I think, Justin Wilcox is a good person. Jimmy, they're going to do the right thing for their kids.
Sure.
And I'm sure with all the ups and downs of the season or just the whole year, right, we're going to play, we're not going to play. Here's training camp, now we're not going to play. It's just another challenge that both of those coaching staffs need to wrap their head around and make sure they get their kids ready for the opportunity that does come.
Yeah, there's just never been a year like this. Getting prepped for a game, looking at the Pac scoreboard, and one game's just banged out. Very strange. Very, very strange.
One snap and clear.
One snap and clear. That's a life thing.
That's right.
Yeah. Speaking of games, by the way, place you've been, Nevada is on the television. What kind of interest and it's got to be a little bit different. You see Nevada. You spent 4 years there, right? Was it 4 years?
I enjoyed Nevada very much.
Yeah.
I enjoyed working for Chris Alt. It was a very difficult year at times, but learned a lot. Loved his passion, especially in the fight for the Fremont Cannon, the game with UNLV. And I think that has a lot to do with, why I think emphasizing the Apple Cup is important.
What's the pistol? What are your thoughts on the pistol? And, there's the run and shoot, there's the air raid, there's the pistol, there's triple option. There are all these different ways to do it. That's Chris Alt's thing, right?
Yeah.
It's the pistol. Yeah. What's your thought on
I think him and Mastro were in the locker room, and I think they should mark it permanently where they kind of started the pistol, because it was in the coach's locker room, on the ground. They had tape on the ground. At least the legend goes that way. But really did a lot to change college football. Not just, there's the pistol offense, which was Chris Alt his, but the formation has also had a real impact on the evolution of the game and how defensive coordinators determine the strength, especially with all the shotgun going on with in college football now. So having that symmetry is probably one of the things that I like the best about it. Is you don't give anything away, whether it be pass pro or if you're in shotgun, back's on your right, most likely the run's going left. So in the defensive linemen know that, the defensive coaches know that. The symmetry of the pistol I think really made people kind of just play.
Yeah, and the idea being they're in it. As simple as it sounds, the running back's behind the quarterback, and so you just don't know where they're going to run it, right?
Right, and you don't know which way the quarterback's going to turn if you're talking zone read, right? I don't know if we told this story, but we implemented it. Oh yeah, we did. We talked about it with Hawaii in 2010, and I think that's actually why he allowed me to work there.
Really?
Yeah, because he said you're the only one that believes in the pistol, and you guys went pistol.
He saw it. He saw it.
Oh yeah, because we played each other.
Oh.
Yeah, but it did a lot. What it did for the run and shoot was a lot different than what it did for Nevada's pistol offense. But
imitation's the greatest flattery, right?
Yep.
He saw it. He believed in it, and he liked it. I think that how has the run and shoot looked? You said you kind of we put you on the hot seat. You said about 65% installed, but how have the guys been executing it lately?
There's always things to learn as far as getting more comfortable. The main concept, just general philosophy, is aggressive common sense and playing fast and playing aggressive. You know, if you can go score a touchdown, go score a touchdown. I don't expect it to be flawless. I expect them to play hard, and but I also just hope the mistakes aren't costly. You know, but I appreciate the belief, top to bottom, from the offensive players.
If you go aggressive common sense and one snap and flush it, that you're going to do the right thing.
The bar's right there, right?
Okay.
You're thirsty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the fastest way to that bar?
Straight line. Right?
Straight line, but you can't go straight.
No.
Right.
Right.
They can go straight to the bar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't go, so go another way.
Yeah.
That's
aggressive
run and
common
shoot.
sense.
Yeah. Or go stop right there, sit down, and maybe somebody will bring you a drink.
Which should be great.
There you go.
Aggressive common sense.
There you go.
And you know what they'll do at Zeppo's? They will bring you a beverage.
That's right.
Absolutely fast.
That's right.
Because that's what we do. Speaking of which, Mountain Cold Refreshment made to chill. 2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
We led right into that one,
It's
didn't
perfect.
we?
It was perfect. Aggressive common sense.
There you go.
That's right. We'll take a break. Come back. We're live here talking football with Coach Rolovich at Zeppo's.
It all started
Here's Matt Chazanow.
Back here live at Zeppo's. It is that time of the week. We're talking ball here with Coach Rolovich as we're getting set for the game in Corvallis at the Beavers. And we've got Twitter questions rolling in. We have kind of a fun non-football question that was written in. We'll get to in whenever you want. Whenever we'll figure it out.
You're running the show,
that's
brother.
Fair. We're doing handoffs here.
Okay.
BD Giddens wants to talk about kind of goal line formations and trying to get, I think, his frame of mindset for red zone stuff. We've got a bunch of good running backs. Do you think we'll see diamond formation? How creative will formations get? What's it like when you get tight to the goal line? He has like 3 questions, but we'll start with that one.
I think we are open to all types of situations when you get down tight, especially. I'm not sure that the diamond is something that we're ready to run.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of good stuff you can do out of it.
Yeah, and that is almost like
It's triple option.
Triple
It's
option,
gun
yeah.
triple, you know what I mean? It gives
Yeah.
you a lot of stuff. But it's a lot of stuff to practice too.
Right. Yeah, you got to rep that out.
It's really easy to draw it up here.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then you got everything you got to rep out. So
Yeah.
time and distance. How much time you can spend on it? How much distance you're going to get from it?
Interesting. Mark B., who is from Riverside, California, and always great to see Mark when he's able to make it up here to Zeppo's. Could you walk us through the 24 hours before kickoff and how much variance is there? Do you have a pre-game day routine? Do you have a Friday home game, Friday road game? Do you try to keep that stuff rigid and set? I think that's kind of what he's asking.
Try to keep it, the process pretty similar for them. Just game time determines a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We will practice tomorrow about 9. End up, I think, leaving around 1:32 and getting to Eugene, getting to the hotel sometime around in the early afternoon, mid-afternoon. Unit meetings, O&D, and there's some flexibility there, right? We only have so many meeting rooms, so there's some timing stuff to work out. Some guys like to work their guys out as far as walkthrough. And then we have the strange thing I like to do, or not strange thing I like to do that we're not going to be able to do is I like pregame meal the night before, make sure everybody's in the room at the meal, sitting down, nobody just go in and eat. Let's sit down, have somebody bless the food, let the seniors eat first, then the juniors, sophomores, freshmen, then coaches. And then I like vanilla ice cream with chocolate sprinkles.
Nice.
It's going to be hard to get during COVID here, but Coach Goby does a wonderful. I think it's a really great meeting before the team meeting Friday night. I feel like it's a real good balance for how I talk to the team, and he's very good at those meetings. So.
Mark also asks how a couple days ago the Hawaii-Wyoming game went in the Cougar football complex with the history of your staff. Was that an actively watched game and talked about game?
It was definitely more active than most games. It was. I thought Wyoming played good football. Craig Bowl is a good coach.
Yep.
I mean, he's tough. They're well coached, prepared. But yeah, it was we lost the bet that week.
Yeah.
No, we did not bet on the game. It was push-ups. I don't need compliance calling tomorrow.
It was sprinkle colors on the vanilla ice cream is what it was. Yeah. You've got the half the staff basically from Hawaii, half the staff from Wyoming. That's where that question comes from.
Correct.
A lot of the offense, not all of it, but a lot of the offense from Hawaii. Mark Banker, safeties coach from
the whole offense.
Hawaii. Whole offense,
Yeah.
and then majority of the defense. But Andre Allen from City College. Oh, no, from
Yeah, he
Hawaii.
was in
Right,
Hawaii,
that's
yeah.
right. That's
He
right.
was
He
with
was with you there.
Hawaii.
Yeah, that's right. So whole offense, and then let's see, the whole defense except for
Ricky and Banker. Yep.
Yeah, is Wyoming. You guys all that must have been. I know we've been over this a bunch of times, and it's old news. But as that game's coming together, it does make you think. You guys all knew each other. You're in the same league. You all must have been excited at the prospect of joining forces. Largely.
Oh, I think it. I don't know how well each group knew each other, but I think there was a a mutual respect
Yeah.
that that each team was able to do in that conference. In some what I know people think it's hard to recruit to Laramie, but I think they did a really good job developing talent, getting guys who wanted to be up there. And a lot of people think it's overly easy to recruit to Hawaii, which is it's nice to get a visit, but you got to get the right kids that want to be there too.
Do you find kids will visit Hawaii to visit Hawaii? Is that a thing?
No, that's kind of the urban legend. It didn't happen too much because you're talking about 48 hours maximum on the visit. That's 5 hours flight for 48 hours, back for a 5-hour flight.
Yeah.
And that weeds some of that big talk early out pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Jennifer Delzer asks, will there be a Coach Rolo cardboard cutout in Martin Stadium?
I don't think so.
As well as you being on the sidelines.
Yeah.
You'll be there, so I don't know that but that's a fun.
No,
I mean, it's about as much fun as Sting can have in the stands at the
right.
moment is cardboard cutouts. I think that
we should have votes on best cardboard cutout. I bet there's some good ones that are coming
there's
in.
definitely a way we could throw a Twitter poll out before the next show. Best after the home game, right? Of best cardboard cutout. You had a public kind of mandate for one, I think, a certain cardboard cutout of a former Cougar tennis player.
Oh, Billy Meatballs?
Yeah.
Oh, he's over there. Look at him.
Yeah, he does not.
Look at him. Doesn't he look like an old mafia boss just staring at me like, you better not say anything to embarrass us?
Yeah, sports information director, Pack legend, Bill Stevens, who does not like to be talked about on the air, which is why I like to talk about him on the air.
That's right.
Yeah.
Billy Meatballs.
The best.
There he is.
The best. Cougar tennis great, Bill Stevens. Went to high school with Chris Peterson.
Two-hand backhand on that guy.
Yeah, is that right? He says no? Maybe.
He thinks he's a single backhand guy.
He's a two-hand
He's a two-hand backhand guy.
I love it. We got more Twitter questions. We got to get to them. We're at the bottom of the hour. We'll take a break. We'll come back live. It's the Cougs taking on the Beavers here in just about 48, 72 hours.
And now, Matt Chazanow.
Back at it here at Zeppo's with Coach Rolovich. We are talking football and taking questions and LJ Wiggin wants to ask, because myself and Alex Brink are both new fathers, have new babies. Coach Rolo, do you have an embarrassing new dad snafu? LJ wants to ask.
I don't know that I have one that comes to my head,
That's
to be
good.
honest
That's
with
good.
you. Well, Dad of the Year award right there.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, absolutely.
If something pops up, I'll let you know.
Yeah, if something comes to mind, let me know. Lynn Carmichael.
I stuck my kid in the pumpkin his first Halloween.
The pumpkin?
Yeah.
That counts.
Cut the legs out, cut the holes.
Was it like
it was great.
like being in a barrel or something, but it was a
yeah,
pumpkin,
that's
his
right.
head popping out? That's
Yeah.
awesome. I bet he loved it. Or she. He
did.
He lived it, yeah.
Yeah.
Lynn Carmichael wants to know, how excited are the players, and are you having to calm them down before the game? What is the atmosphere in the locker room like? Is it extra? Is it the same?
I think the energy now is hard to gauge. Really, I think that question is how are the new guys? We're traveling a lot of new guys, right? A lot of guys first-time travelers, so you got to make sure to look out for them. How are they going to handle the road? But today's energy, I think, is going to be much different than Saturday afternoon's energy. So that's kind of when you make that decision to, all right, you got to calm down or let them roll.
Saturday night game, 7:30 Pacific game, all day in the hotel. That you go eat, you just go back to the room.
You get a nice sleep in, right? Just let them sleep because they're up all week early. I think a good sleep is good for them. Breakfast, you got the Pac-12 testing going on, which we've left a little wiggle room. It's just in case you get a little midstream adjust. We just got to keep our knees bent. That's the deal.
Personal preference?
What?
Kick time? Noon, 3 o'clock, 7:30. Do you care? Does it matter?
I don't care.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Early in the morning, then it's not for me.
The 9 a.m. stuff, right? That's a what? 4.
I just think you got to be. You're eating. Pregame meals usually 4 hours before kickoff.
That would be
right?
a 5 a.m. meal.
Yeah.
That's an early breakfast.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's happening, by the way, this Saturday. What, USC, Arizona State?
Oh, yeah?
I think so, yeah.
It'd be great to see what they're eating for breakfast.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Omelets?
I would think so.
You would think an omelet maker would have some COVID restrictions.
Well, that's true. That kind of throws a wrench into the omelet bar, which is actually the biggest disaster of COVID, if you ask me. No omelet bars. That's a mess. Drew Callahar on Twitter wants to ask, what is your least favorite question to be asked by the media? Do you have a question that you are regularly asked that you know is coming, always comes, and then you kind of bristle at when it comes your way?
I can bristle at a lot of their questions sometimes, but the quarterback one gets old,
Yeah. I bet.
But it's natural.
Yeah.
You can't get mad at them. That's the big story. So, I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that.
Speaking of quarterbacks, how has Jaden looked? Let's talk a little bit of quarterback. Jaden Delora, freshman QB. Jaden Gunner. Let's talk Jaden Gunner and Kemp. Let's see how have all three of those guys looked since the depth chart came out and as the run and shoot's been repped out here.
I think there's been you take the focus from competition with each other, and then decisions are made, and then here's the opponent. I think there's a nice brotherhood. I won't even call it a brotherhood yet because they've only been together a little bit, but there's a nice brotherhood brewing as far as it doesn't seem to be ill-willed on the field in that room. I think there's encouragement from I try to keep my eye on that. Like, who's going to be the dude who's, not happy that we just threw a touchdown because that hurts
it's not
it.
my touchdown.
Right. And, we addressed that pretty early with all positions, really. But I think it's been good to have something to focus on. What plays are we planning on running? What defenses are we going to see? Another jersey number. Some of those things have really, I think they're all getting better. They continue to get better.
How much of the QB issue, and we don't need to harp on this, but in naming a guy, I mean, you played multiple QBs at Hawaii, even with Cole McDonald, who the Titans
Yeah,
drafted.
but people still want to know the starter, and I think if we're going every quarter, we're going every series, I think you're just, you're just delaying an issue, right, at some point.
Sure.
But if Jaden doesn't play well, we're going to try somebody else.
Right.
and it's not that hard.
Right, right. And
Jaden, I don't care if he's a starter till his senior year. If he's not playing good his senior year, well, maybe we pull him for another freshman. It's you got to keep the pressure on. You got to keep the pressure on yourself to continually get better.
Does any comfort on a football team is an enemy of progress, right? I mean, that's not the goal at any position, even if a guy's really, really good.
No matter what level you get to. You're in the NFL, you get comfortable, you get cut.
Ed Boyle wants to ask a style question.
Style,
yep. Since you're obviously a fan of the Boone hat, he said, can we expect to see you wearing one Saturday night in Corvallis, regardless of whether it's raining? He seems to be locked in.
No. It's hard to. I'm not a big Britney Spears, boy band mic guy. I like the regular old headsets. So
nice.
The hat's getting in the way.
Yes. Yeah. You want the classic.
Yeah.
The classic.
I'm a little bit of a traditionalist when it comes to headset wearing.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
As a headset,
good on you,
as a headset wearer, I can identify with that. You can be Do they really sound different to you? Does it really matter functionally? Like, do you hear some? Because the crowd's so loud, it's kind of an underrated.
Well, you get the ones if you're on the field and you want to hear what the crowd are saying. And you're two, and then you pretend like you don't hear what they're saying.
You ever do that with an official? You're like, I got two on, or I got one. Sorry, I can't hear.
I can't wait. I miss them. I like getting after them.
Is that one of the things that is kind of like the most fun of your job, is working officials, talking to refs, the whole thing?
Yeah, I do. I enjoy that.
Yeah. How much from when you were in a OC or a position coach to now you're the head coach, that's a huge element of it, right? Is the interaction with the officials and the referee?
It's a part of it. I think you should know the refs before. Like, we've already got the refs that we're gonna play with. I think you should know their history. What are the calls that crew has made, or consistently calling more than other crews? I think the pregame meeting of the refs is. I think it's very important. I think it's. You always know. All right, did you talk to the opponent already? Did you talk to Jonathan Smith already? All right, we're going to handle this one way. If you haven't gone and talked to him, we're going to handle this another way.
Really?
And I'll talk to you on the field about a couple things.
That's about pre-coin toss? Is that right, when that goes down?
Oh, yeah. When is that? I don't know. Maybe.
Is that a locker room thing?
It's a locker room thing.
I was going to say,
I
want to say that.
It might be 70 minutes, an hour before.
Okay, so it's kind of maybe early warm-ups.
Right. Who are your captains? Who's your punter? Who's your quarterback? Is he right? Is he left-handed? I mean, just some things that they need for their just to help them do their job. Any trick plays, anything you want us to look out for that they're cheating with, and those type of things.
Yeah. Huh.
Questions. I mean, there's a lot of rules, right? Sometimes we bring a computer in. All right, is this legal?
Yeah.
Because some guys, there's a lot of rules.
Yeah.
Some guys will call it one way. Some guys will call it the other way.
That's
face mask easy.
Yeah.
Rule interpretations, and I like trying to stump them every week.
Do you think officials and refs should have a media presence? Should they talk about why they made calls, post-game, pre-game, anything like that?
I don't think that's enough time for them to process and see what it was. Maybe if they made a mistake. There was a time when I was like, these guys just want to ruin the game. They want them to win. These guys are just trying to do. A lot of this is their second job.
Sure.
They work very hard with prep. With it's not like they take off their bags with their tools and go paint some stripes on and go out.
Right.
These guys are. There's a lot of conferences that are done in non-COVID year that to get better, and they meet with us whenever we want. We can, they can come to scrimmages, but even Zooms right now. We have a question, we get with them. They want to do. They don't want to be part of the game,
right?
At all.
You had officials at the scrimmages. Were they pack officials, and how'd that go with the referees with what you're installing? And
I don't think a lot of them were pack officials.
Okay.
I know there's one guy, I'm not going to say his name, but he said he would have thrown a flag on something. I said, oh, okay, that guy
He's off the list.
No, you put up a sign.
Or he's on the list.
Yeah,
he's on the list. Yeah.
You know who that guy's going to call.
Yeah.
But the players appreciate that too. You know what the players really appreciate is understanding, okay, who's watching the corners versus one receiver? Who are everyone looking at? And I think you gain respect on the field when you can go talk to the guy who's watching the right tackle. You know what I mean? You can't just get mad. You got a holding call.
Right.
All right, what'd you see?
Who called it?
I think you get some street cred if you can walk up to the guy who's watching you. What did you see?
Yeah, I mean the referee's just relaying what the call
right.
somebody else made. He's just
right.
the voice.
Or catching him during a TV timeout. You know.
Interesting. That's the whole game behind the.
It's a fun game.
That's the game behind the game. That's the game behind the game. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We're live here at Zeppo's Talking Ball before the Beavers against Coach Rolovich. With Coach Rolovich.
Let's face it.
Back here live at Zeppo's Talking Ball with Coach Rolovich. It is that time of the show. We've got a segment, Coach. We've got one more break to take, so we've got 2 segments left here on the back quarter of the show here, give or take. This is the part where we talk about the Oregon State Beavers, and it's a lot of returners, and it's a quarterback, Tristan Gebbia, who's a Nebraska transfer, 6'2", 201, redshirt junior, actually a Southern California kid, went to Lincoln, Nebraska, transferred to Oregon State. There are 4 Nebraska transfers on Oregon State. They came over with him when Mike Riley left Lincoln, Nebraska. What's the scout on Gebbia, and what kind of player is he?
Good player coming out for sure, right? Good arm. I think he's maybe a better athlete than the guy who played last year.
Yeah.
There'll be a different style of quarterback. But, obviously he a kid transferred, right? You're like, how much does he love football? All the rumors are this kid really loves football. And I think he's got a little film from last year, so we got a little bit of idea. He's got another year in the system after transferring. I think Jonathan Smith's been very smart with the transfer portal because of their quarter schools, right? They can get guys in later. They can get and they have to sit a year, but they're ready for the next year. I think he's done a nice job in that realm.
Interesting. He's throwing to a lot of returning receivers. Now, that's minus a Buffalo Bill NFL draft pick of Isaiah Hodgins, who was an all-pack level receiver.
Yeah, he was, and he was a real go-to guy for him. I thought he was, one-on-one. He was able to win a bunch of those battles, whether, contested catches, but I think he also had at least the quarterback Luton last year had a real good belief in him. I thought he looked for him a bunch. So it'll be interesting to see the relationship or the trust that Tristan has with his receivers, and I think there are some definite playmakers out there.
Trevon Bradford, Champ Flemings, Tyjon Lindsey, and then a freshman, Zariah Beeson, who played for a really big Texas program in high school. But Champ Flemings, at 5'5", 141, had a big game against the Cougs last year at 110 yards and a touchdown. Played high school ball with Bernard Bell and Jameer Calvin.
Yep.
And those guys are our buddies. But what a unique player. He may do punt returns for the Beavers. 5'5", 141, and lightning quick.
Lightning quick, playmaker. You talk about – he gets a lot of attention because of his size, but he plays fearless. I think he knows he belongs on a football field, even though people probably told him he's not good enough, not big enough, not whatever. But he's continued to prove them wrong, and I think that's just given him more confidence. Another year in the system again. The consistency of the coaching staff they've had after a nice jump from 18 to 19. I expect them to be a confident bunch, knowing what they're doing at home. I'm sure they're eager to play.
I may have buried the lead here a little bit when talking about the Beaver offense. How good is Jamar Jefferson?
Very good.
Running
when you come onto the season as a freshman and have that type of yardage on the ground, just being physically ready to take that, it's not really punishment, but that's a physicality that that he can dish out because of his size and ability. But also he showed some durability as a true freshman. I think that it gave a real bright spot for Oregon State football.
He was banged up a little bit last year, but he did have 4 touchdowns in Martin Stadium. Total, he had 130 yards rushing. He had 52 yards receiving. And Coug fans will remember him also from his freshman year in Corvallis. He had another really big game. He scored a lot. And at times,
I want to say, how many yards did he have his freshman year? He must have had 1,300, 1,400 yards.
It was. And his first game was in Columbus, Ohio. And his first game he ran for like 250 yards at the Buckeyes. Mm-hmm. That was his first game from high school to Oregon State.
Yeah, I remember him during the recruiting process. He had a lot of belief in himself at the Power 5 level, and obviously got his opportunity early with the Beavers.
Let's flip it over here and talk a little bit of Beaver defense.
Okay.
Hamaka Rashid Jr., 14 sacks, 22 and a half tackles for loss last year. That's an incredible individual output from one linebacker.
Right, and he's kind of their edge rusher, right? And he can drop a little bit, but got really high level of pass rush skills. But his numbers, it's not just always one guy, right? There's guys in the interior that are pushing the pocket, and I think they do a nice job as a whole. Even though he's the one that gets a lot of the pub and has a lot of production, I don't think it's just a one-man show there.
Somebody's picking up blocks to let him get through. And
Hodgins' brother is the defensive end.
Yeah.
And he's, they list him at 6 foot 265, but he's disruptive. He's a good athlete. He moves around real well and he plays hard. So, a lot of those qualities can help create some disruption on the defensive line.
The Beaver linebackers, Hamaka Rashid, there's Omar Spates, Avery Roberts, who led them in tackles last year. He had 83 tackles. And then a player who's actually from Federal Way, Washington, on the west side, Anjay Hughes-Murray, who missed last year with injury. It's a Beaver linebacking core that I bet you Tim Tibesar and Jonathan Smith, Tibesar, the defensive coordinator, feels really good about for Oregon State.
Yeah, I know there was Hughes-Murray was a guy they really had some high hopes for. Didn't have the year last year that he had, but he was a lot of talk going into our game with them when I was at Hawaii. So I believe he was named a captain also.
Might be the case. A redshirt senior.
Yeah.
So I don't have a list of their captains.
I kind of look like that group with Hughes Murray, John McCartan, Addison Gums, Hamilcar, more on that defensive edge. I actually am pretty impressed with 36 and 34, the two inside type backers. And they got better as the year went on last year as young players. I got tremendous amount of respect for their position coach, Trent Bray, as big of just a football guy as you can get. And I think you're going to see. I'm expecting Avery Roberts and Omar to have a real high level comfort level in Tibesar's defense.
That's 156 tackles last year between those two guys, Spates and Roberts in the middle.
Yeah.
Really productive.
And, they're going to be here for a few years.
Yeah.
You know.
Spates is a sophomore. Roberts is a redshirt junior.
In a year that doesn't count versus their eligibility.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they'll be back for.
I think we'll get used to seeing those guys. Hopefully we see them on their side of the line of scrimmage more than ours.
See them on the second progression as opposed to the first. All right, we got to take a break. We're up on it. That's a little Beaver preview right there. Last segment coming up next. Want to talk about Coug Bucks. We can put a bow on it before we've got to send you off to Research Stadium. We'll take a break. Come back here live at Zeppo's next.
And now, from Zeppo's with Coach Rolovich, here's Matt Chazanow.
Couple of minutes left here at Zeppo's, and before we get to the raffle portion, which is after the show and off air, there is a pay it forward element to what we're doing here. We raffle off a hat and a T-shirt, and that's super fun. But also you raffle off Coug Bucks, $100, which is now turned into $200 because of somebody who's really, really kind and benevolent. Yeah. And we've had great things happen, and we've gotten a couple reports back on what's gone on. Humane Society got $100 here locally in the area.
Love it.
Which is fantastic. Right. Yeah. Got a note here. The money that was won last week went to buy groceries for someone who needed a little bit of a helping hand.
Nothing wrong with that.
Fantastic.
Nothing wrong with that.
Hey, good luck, Coach, in Corvallis.
Thanks, Chad. We'll see you there.
Yep. No, we'll not.
Okay,
I'll see. No, we'll talk about that later.
Wait.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. All right. Hey, much thanks to everybody here at Zeppos.
Yep.
Huge thanks to Jerry Kylo, Jared Pranguber, Scott Hoffman, to Jake Ramada back in the U.S. Bank Network studios. And thanks for listening and watching. And go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody,
Here we
for
are.
coming.